Okay, that was slightly stressful. All right, let me see. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Chanel. So today we're gonna do a live Q&A. I just need to log on to my account to see your questions. Okay. How is everyone? Hi, it works. Thank you for doing this. No problem. Okay, I just need to do something, which is connect my earphones. Just so I can see if the sound is good for you guys. Great. Okay. Is this sound good? Because your girl has a mic. Great. Okay, so do you guys have any questions for me regarding mental health or anything of the sort, like ADHD, even food? We can go over food again today, or like I said, finding happiness or anything like that. Sure. So, Yana, you have a question. I hope, do I say your name correctly? So, let me know. Um, I have a question regarding how you cope with English as a second language and how was it at school? That's an interesting question because, yeah, I am French and it was difficult for me, especially because, well, yes, I have ADHD and I do have also dyslexia, which it made it hard to learn a new language, but at the same time, I was forced to learn English because I've been to an Anglophone school all my life. And that means that I had the language was English and every other subject except for French, and my French was second language. So, yeah, it was difficult, but at some point I just wasn't shy anymore and I just talked English to my friends and to the English kids, but I did have some French friends and that I stuck with. I was for sure way more comfortable in French, but also in university, I just got out of my shell a lot and that made it so that I just pushed myself to practice and now I work in English. I do everything in English. I do have a terrible accent, but I guess it's part of me now. So she said, thanks for sharing. I feel like I am shy speaking, but it is much easier to read and listen. Um, yeah, for sure. Listening for me is way, way, way easier than anything else. I mean, I listen to Audible twice speed. I listen to all my classes twice the speed. but I have difficulty reading for the life of me. um, so, what's your native language? Is it French too? English is my third. Dang, girl. That's awesome. Good for you. Any other questions, guys, about. I know my ADHD video got quite a lot of views, and more importantly, I felt that a lot of people connected with what I said. And I feel that there are not a lot of just videos on internet about people with ADHD that are high functioning, I guess. And yeah, I'd love to talk about that. Also, do you like my Christmas tree? I did myself. Another question about food. Yeah, sure. Uh, is it is it ever going to disappear? I feel like sometimes I recover, but it comes back on hard times. Yeah, I get that. And most coping mechanisms will do that because your mind knows where to go to soothe yourself. And if you had trouble with food in the past, it is quite normal that your mind just wants to go back to that. Um, However, I was talking to my sister like a few minutes ago, and she asked me, "So, how's your journey with food?" Which is quite fitting with your question. And I told her that finally I just felt as if I didn't have to worry about food ever. Now I just eat whenever I'm hungry or whenever I'm not, and my weight just stays stable, which is the first time in my life that that's happened. Usually I just yo yo, and even if I think I'm cured, I'm not because I don't know, like something stressful happens in my life and I just start eating to um, console myself. So, is it ever going to disappear? I feel that, yeah, it could, for sure, it could. And because it did for me, well, at least as of now, it's been good for like a year. And yeah, I just have hope and just focus on working on yourself and on whatever the root of that coping mechanism is. You know, you have inevitably beliefs about food and about yourself that leads you to use that coping mechanism. And you know, a belief does not have that much grip if you start seeing it for what it is and you start exploring it. It's like the saying that you become conscious once you think about consciousness, you know? So it's the same thing about beliefs. The moment you question the belief, you don't believe it as much anymore. That's why I think in religious circles, people are discouraged to question the religious authority. Because once you start questioning, it's a sign that you don't believe it anymore. So I don't know if this helps you, but yeah, just ask the question, why am I eating right now? And then for instance, if the answer is like I'm eating because I'm bored, then ask yourself, why am I bored? Just play the why game. So I'm bored because I don't like doing homework. Okay, well, why don't you like doing homework? Why are you not doing your homework? I don't like doing my homework because it's way too hard, and I don't know, I feel tired, etc. But why Why is it that hard for you? Why do you think it's that hard? It's hard because, like, I have to put so much effort, and in the end I believe it's not worth it. Why do you think you're not worth that effort? You see what I'm doing? I'm just going back, 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 back. And usually the root of everything is a fear of not being loved and not being appreciated, the fear of rejection. So, in that example, I don't know you, but that's a common example. So an example of a reason why someone would have such a bad coping mechanism as eating when they're bored is because down the line you believe that you will not be loved, or you will fail inevitably, and so lose value. So you don't even try, and you eat, and you sabotage yourself. You see? You need to play the boiling down game. Sorry about that. I keep hitting my mic. Yana, did I answer your question? I hope so. Hi. Hi, Chanel. Hello from Simran. Hi, Simran. Love you. Oh, this is my sister, Milovi. Milovi, merci. Okay. What does it mean to be your own parent, and how do you do it? That's a very important question, and that's a very important skill to have. So, what does it mean to be your own parent? It means that you listen to yourself as if you were a child, and you discipline yourself as if you were a parent of that same child. So you need to have a firm but compassionate voice in your head that soothes you, that listens to you, but then that you should have a firm voice that's also there to find solutions to whatever discomfort you're having. You see? So you need to have that duality within you where you treat your emotions as if they were a small child, but then you deal with those emotions with sophisticated coping mechanisms of an adult. Okay? For instance, you're at the grocery store, someone bangs into your cart with theirs. You're so freaking pissed. You're so pissed. Okay? And you just want to yell at them. You're angry. Okay? So your inner parent will be like, okay, I am angry right now, and that is totally valid. That is okay to be angry. An emotion is always valid. Okay? There is no bad or good emotions. They are what they are. They're flavors, So, and as flavors, you may prefer, I don't know, chocolate, or you may prefer, which is happiness, or you may prefer, you may dislike, I don't know, vanilla, which would be in that case like anger. But you need to listen to them, because there is no such thing as making emotions vanish. You need to deal with them as they arise, okay? And by listening to them, it permits you to understand their nature, and by understanding their nature and understanding also your belief systems and just your beliefs about yourself and the world, you're able to see the emotions, and then look at your beliefs and see where your beliefs are causing that emotion because of that stimulus. Okay? And from then on, you may understand why you're feeling this way, and then you deal with it. So a way to deal with it would be, you could yell at that person and just express that emotion in that way. But because in your belief system, it is totally impolite to do that without apologizing, to bang into your car without apologizing. And that person deserves to be yelled at. Maybe that's the way you cope with it. Or if you have a more sophisticated approach, then you would say, okay, I'm mad. I'm going simply to tell them this is disrespectful. You're being disrespectful. Okay? And if someone cuts in front of you, in front of a line, that's a perfect example. You just tell them, excuse me, I was in front of you. Please go to the back of the line like everyone else. That is expressing anger in a way that an adult would approve of. You see what I mean? So yeah, that's what it means to be your own parent, and also to find ways to soothe yourself if ever you're sad or if ever you feel ashamed, or and have some kind of self-talk where you're not repressing, you're recognizing the way you're feeling, you're respecting it, okay, and you're dealing with it to come back to happiness, okay, because you love yourself enough to always try to cope with emotions in a way that brings you back to happiness. Sorry about that. So, yeah. So that would be my answer for how to be your own parent. I hope that answered your question. Yana, I am so happy you feel it's gone for you. She is talking about food obsession. You helped me a lot with your videos and question and answers about the topic. I feel that it has switched my whole perspective about food. I am so happy. Like, yes, yes. Come in my food journey train. Yes, this is the health train. I'm very happy you're here, and I'm happy that you're working on it and that my videos helped you. You're so wholesome. Thank you very much. I feel that's a very awesome compliment. Tu es française? Si oui, tu pourrais me donner des conseils sur comment gérer la semaine avant le concours et dealer avec les soucis pour aller de l'avant. Love you. She's asking me if I'm French, and I think it's a she. Isma? No, I think it's a guy. And he or she is asking me how to give him or her advice about je suis une fille, okay? She's a girl. So she's asking me advice to how to deal with the stress before a big exam, because I believe she's in France. They have a lot of big exams before medical school, just even to get classified to be considered, which is super stressful. We don't have that here. I think it's kind of the equivalent of an MCAT. How to deal with stress. Well, a trick that I have is that whenever I'm super anxious, I recognize my anxiety for sure, and I do the exercise of positive self-talk, telling myself that my worth is not based on if I succeed or not in that test. My worth is only based on what I think of myself and my core qualities. And one core quality that I put a lot of emphasis on is my resilience. And my resilience and my positive attitude towards life, and just having the courage to think positively, okay? And it's also important to understand that any negative thought about yourself will put roadblocks, okay, in your studying and whatever you're trying to do, any endeavor you're trying to you're going through, basically. So yeah, so basically how my advice would be to just think about positive thoughts, think about things that excites you, because the thing with anxiety is that physically it feels the same as excitement. So what you could do is, whenever you feel anxious and you feel the thoughts coming into your head, I would have a list of pre-made phrases or thoughts about yourself that you could read out loud, okay, and repeat in your head. So that's something I do whenever I get stressed. I think about my pre-made, just self-affirmations that I just repeat in my head, and I just occupy my mind with those thoughts, and so the negative thoughts don't flow in. Okay, and I just think about things. I deal with the physical stress by thinking about things that make me feel excited about the same event. So, for instance, if you're doing the concours de médecine, you're doing the exam for medical school, then a good way to, I think, to surpass the anxiety and give you even a little motivation boost and energy boost would be to think about how you will feel when you will get a good grade. So whenever you feel the anxiety creeping up, just think about that and kind of trick your mind into thinking that you are actually excited for that exam, and you're going to study much better, and you actually end up maybe going to end up having a lot more and a better grade in the end. She also says sometimes it's not even about anxiety, but just confidence. I felt like I'm not good enough. Even people think everybody is a certain way, in a certain way is enough. I don't know. That's strange to explain. So, yeah, you have to love yourself enough to think that you are worth all of this. You are worth the risk. You are worth the risk of working freaking hard and not getting it. You are worth that. And you are worth also that feeling of being confident. I don't know if you know what I mean, but that feeling is so good. And you need to love yourself enough that you're willing to give it to yourself. Okay? No proof needed. No getting into medical school needed. No event needed. You just need to give it to you. So, yeah. I hope this makes sense. Okay, another question. I realize that I'm creating mistrust within myself when I don't do what I promise myself. Example, don't wake up early and exercise when I tell myself I would. Have you thought about this? What do you think? Totally thought about this. I think about this all the time. And I could show you, but what I do is, first of all, compassion, compassion, compassion. It's normal not to do what you set out to do. It's the human nature. If you want to install some kind of change in your life, your mind is not made to change, to like change. It's not made for that. It's made to keep you safe. Okay? So have compassion for yourself. I mean, if you're trying all of a sudden to get up early in the morning and work out and do a bunch of things, you will feel resistance because you are not evolutionary made to be able to do all of that. Okay? So, one, compassion. Forgive yourself. Number 2. Number 3, figure out why exactly, like practically, this is not happening. So take one thing at a time. For instance, you want to, sorry, my promise myself, don't wake up early. Okay, for instance, you want to wake up early. Okay, why the hell then don't you wake up early? Okay, is it because you're a night owl and waking up early for you does not even make sense? We're not all supposed to wake up at 5. Okay, so that's another thing. What makes you wake up later? Okay, and are those reasons valid? And then, why do you want to wake up earlier? Okay, what does it mean to you? Okay, do you love yourself enough to change a habit, to go through that resistance, to change that about your life? Okay, and if so, you need to rearrange your environment so that you put all the chances on your side to be able to change that habit in the long run. And if you want to change that habit in the long run, you have to change some part of yourself, okay? Some belief about yourself. That, for instance, you go from waking, I'm a late riser, to I'm an early riser. Okay? If you decide that the reasons why you want to wake up are good enough, that you love yourself enough for all of that, that the reasons why you wake up late usually are not, don't outweigh the reasons why you should get up early, then you need to change your belief, that belief about yourself. So you need to repeat to yourself, I am an early riser. I wake up early every day. I wake up early every day because the early bird gets the worm. Because I need to wake up early because I love to see the sunrise every morning. Okay? It's part of me. So what does that person that wake up early do? It goes to bed early. Okay? You are that person now. If you want to wake up early, you need to go to bed early. So what does a person who go to bed early do? What does he think about themselves? Okay, so the thing with the mind is that your beliefs affect your behavior. Okay, so you can for sure change your beliefs, that most of them are just there by accident or put into your head when you were a child and you didn't have even a choice to choose your beliefs at that time, but have not been re-questioned since. So you need to think about about those beliefs, the beliefs that that type of person would have, repeat them to yourself constantly, change the way you think about yourself, and then the behavior will follow. So yeah, I hope that answered your question. Also, I remind myself of that all the time. I don't want to procrastinate, so I tell myself a story in my head of me who got into medicine, of Chanel who does not procrastinate, Chanel who makes a lot of money. Is that you need to tell yourself that story to understand who you will be in the future. I hope this makes sense. Okay, Isma, what helped? Oh, Isma. Okay, there's a little chat within the chat. So, what helped me is realizing that people who are confident do not get it from a special place. They are human just like me, and I deserve confidence too. Yes, 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 that's exactly it. That's exactly it. You need to love yourself enough to give yourself that gift. As simple as that. And I have a video on confidence. It's called How I Became Confident. It's a video, how long is it? Like 10 minutes. And I really go in depth about what is confidence and how can one acquire it. So yes. Isma, how did you know that you found your real purpose? That's a very good question. I heard somewhere, actually, I think it was Marissa Pierce. She says, she's a psychologist, and she said something that stuck with me. She said, your purpose, the essence of your purpose relies in what you loved doing between the age of 7 and 14. So, in my case, I loved choreographing. I loved just I was paid actually by academic school to choreograph uh, dance shows, and I loved to have an idea and the feel of that idea, which was the choreography at that time, and just teach people to make something beautiful. And yeah, so I realized that, or I think that one of my purpose is to, I guess, think about ideas on my own and how they're all linked together, and just analyze how I feel about them, whether it's existential ideas or more like practical ones, and then helping people choreograph their own life in some sense, you know? So, yeah, I guess how can you find your real purpose? You'll never know for sure, but I think it's all about a feeling. It's like when you have an orgasm, you're not like, oh, did I just have an orgasm? No, you know, okay? It's yes or no. So, same thing with the purpose. If something feels right, you know it feels right. But to get to that point, also, you need to have a good relationship with yourself and you need to know what right feels to you to be able to identify it whenever you think about an idea of a purpose for yourself or you just encounter something in your life where you're like, that feels right to me. So I should follow that path. I hope I answered your question. Yes, that makes a lot of sense. The ideal self I have envisioned for me yes, I should create that person. Yes, yes, yes. So whenever you envision something for yourself and you have good enough reasons for them and it's clear in your head, you need to understand how future you, who has all those things, who has this type of mentality, who has these types of habit, thought when they were in the past. So, yeah. So, for instance, if you decide that the future you will wake up early and you envision yourself, I don't know, in the winter, okay, and you feel the cold and you know that it's winter at that time in your mind's eye, it's winter, and you imagine yourself waking up and it's a bit cold in your room and you open the blinds and it's still dark outside and you see the snow falling and you put your robe on because it feels cozier and you just feel so good because you feel you have the entire um, day in front of you and that everyone is still sleeping, you know. So it's you feel all these experiences that that person would feel, that the future you would feel, and then you ask yourself, and then you go back. So how did this person think in my shoes today to get there? Boom, you have your answers. Um, okay, one thing I'm thinking of with upcoming mid interviews is how to present myself fully, like how to self promote. So, talk about my accomplishments confidently, take credit for my success. I need help. Totally understand that because when I got my interviews, even in um, my personal letter, I was like, dang, I don't know how I'm gonna do this because one of the reasons why I wanted to go into medicine is that I didn't have to sell myself. Okay, that is not true in life. You just need to put your best foot forward. So a trick that I used is not to think about it as selling myself necessarily, but to represent myself as the divine, beautiful being that I am and that we all are. Okay? So just remove blocks for yourself, mental blocks. So why do you think you don't deserve to be appreciated, to be looked up to? Why don't you think you deserve to those people in the interview like you a lot and feel that they're sold right away, you know? And then once you take those blocks out of the way and you see yourself as you are with your qualities, positive qualities, negative qualities, and you see all your flavor, your strengths, and just you look at your life story and you see the richness of it all and you see how how your whole life culminated to this interview process and how you are certain that you are made to be here. And 100% you are made to be in meant to be in that interview room. You are. Okay? You're meant to be there because whenever you're at some place at some point in time, it's just a culmination of many decisions that you made throughout your life that brought you here exactly in this room with the people you're talking to. For instance, my whole life brought me to this point where I'm talking to you right now, and same for you. Okay, so by definition, you're meant to be there, and they're meant to look at you and see you and appreciate you, and that's it. So yeah, see yourself for what you, the divine, I want to say divine being that you are, because we all are, and remove all the blocks that either your childhood or experiences in your life have uh, put into your head. Okay, and then explore yourself with curiosity and with love, and if you share exactly that, they'll love you. Yeah. And along those lines, how to be a better and engaged storyteller so people are drawn in to listen to what you say. You are very good at this. Thank you. Especially with my accent. Thanks. Did you take any courses, read books about this skill? No. So I have not. Um, it's a skill that I don't know if it's a skill that I've always had, but it's something I've always loved to do. And yeah, it makes sense with my personality type. So my personality type says that, like, the way I think about life is just apparently a little bit more colored than other people, and I'm an existentialist, so I guess that, yeah, it comes natural to me just to tell a story, because everything is a story naturally to me. And I'm very, very passionate about my life and other people's lives, and just making the most out of it. So yeah, I find a lot of meaning in that. I guess conveying that meaning and that passion is what makes a good storyteller. Okay. How to overcome imposter syndrome? How to remove these thoughts that comes from childhood experiences? Do you recommend any books? Oh my god, that's a lot of questions. Okay, guys, I think I'm just gonna answer those questions and then I'll have to leave. But yeah, so how to overcome imposter syndrome? Ask yourself, why do you feel like an imposter? Again, converse with yourself, be honest with yourself. Why do you feel you don't deserve whatever is happening? And why are you so attached to an identity that is not yours anymore? Because that's exactly that. Imposter syndrome is when something happens in your life, you change either status or job or whatever, and you think to yourself, dang, I don't deserve this. This feels like I'm one moment or another or the next, someone is gonna discover that I'm not meant for this job. They're gonna see me for who I am, and they're gonna realize that I don't deserve this, that I'm the bad person for this job, etc. And that is not true, or else you would have not had the job in the first place, or again be in that moment, that place in that moment. Okay, you deserve everything that happens to you. And yeah, your life is just a reflection of what you think about yourself. So there is some part of you that got yourself that job or that place in medical school, so find that place and stick to that. The other story you're making where your fear, I guess it may be also just a fear of change, for sure. Yeah, as I said in the beginning of the Q&A, we all fear change, and I guess another part of imposter syndrome is just not letting go of past identity and just sticking to it and just feeling out of place. But the other part, I think, is just not seeing yourself as deserving of whatever's happening to you in that moment. So yeah, a change in relationship with yourself, I think, is a good place to start. Converse with yourself. I'm telling you, it's the way to go. How to remove these thoughts that come from childhood experiences? There are many ways. Recently, I did a course with, again, Marissa Pierce, who is not only a psychologist, but she's a hypnotherapist. And basically, she makes you go back in time, regress, I guess, in your mind in a meditative state, and she makes you remember certain events in your life as a child that made some beliefs appear in your head and that you have not questioned since. And I guess you can do that for sure, but I don't think you need a course to do that. You can just be honest with yourself and just go back to those scenes, go back to those beliefs, and look at them with your adult mind. Look at them with your adult look at them with sorry, I think my computer was not working. Okay, so look at them with your adult consciousness, with your adult beliefs, look at them like that. And I think you will be able to see, like for instance, if you think, what kind of beliefs would you have? Like, no one, I have to hide, a common one is I have to hide who I am to be loved. Okay, where did you learn that? So, for instance, if at some point when you were a child, you, I don't know, didn't have a lot of attention from your parents, and then all of a sudden you, I don't know, you got excited about something and you made a joke and you were just being yourself, right? And your parents said, don't say such a things because it's weird and people don't like that. So one thing you could understand from that interaction is that I cannot be who I am really because people won't love me. So I need to fake my personality to be loved. And yeah, you can have relationship problems after that because you're not being authentic, right? So, but looking back, you can look at that scene, at that belief, and tell yourself that is not true. It's not true. It's not because in that moment it was not appropriate to make such a joke that it means that you can never be yourself again. You see how a child thinks simplistically, and if you don't reconsider those beliefs, you're gonna stick with limiting beliefs like that you made when you were like 4 years old. So I think just exploring yourself very in a curious and loving way like that, just again self-parenting, where you are compassionate with yourself, yet you use your adult mind and sophisticated reflections to be able to deconstruct beliefs and choose whatever you want to believe in. Choose beliefs that empower you. Why choose beliefs that limit you when you know that beliefs influence your behavior? So yeah, I hope this makes sense. Do you recommend any books? Yes, tons of them. First of all, The Power of Now, beautiful, beautiful book. And it changed my life. The book that changed my life is definitely this one. The knowledge that everything that actually happens in life is in the present tense changes your whole perspective on things, and understand that the mind only makes mental projection for you to be able to think about the future or the past. These are only stories. The future or the past are not actually happening right now. They may feel like they are, but actually the only thing that ever happened was right now in this very moment. So your life is just a succession of present moments. And that changes the value you put, I guess, on everything. Well, I guess it did for me. Another book, since we're on the topic of self-parenting, Running on Empty. So it's Running on Empty is a very nice book for people who were emotionally neglected as a child, um, or just need a little bit of a refresher on just how to self-parent. And maybe a sign that you need to have a better self-parent is if you lack discipline, if you lack a good sleeping routine, if you lack a good relationship with food, if you have addiction problems, if you have anger management problems, if you have a lot of emotional lability that is not linked to necessarily a physical condition. This is all a sign that you have difficulty self-regulating, and self-regulation is the job of a parent to teach. But if you didn't learn that when you were a child for whatever reason, this book just talks about not only emotional neglect but also how to build your inner self-parent and just become a healthy adult. Okay, it's okay to be a child at heart, but there is nothing like being a healthy, mentally, physically, spiritually healthy adult. That's what that's a recipe for success. And you're gonna be way more attractive to other adults, and because you won't look like a child, I guess. Anyways, so that was my reason why I recommend Running on Empty, but there is a bunch of other books. I like UBU by Edu Canoli. You can also watch his videos on YouTube. He's super hot, very easy to watch. And yeah, if I think of others, I'll just put it in the description. Do you know if I can find this book in French? I think you meant Power of Now. I think it's been translated to many, many, many languages. Yeah, for sure. Check on Amazon. I think you might find it. Can you talk about fostering discipline? Again, yeah, for sure. Again, fostering discipline is all about, I think, self-parenting, which leads to self-understanding, self-acceptance, self-love, okay, and then self-regulation. I can go into that in another Q&A if you'd like. So it's a very famous book. I think there should be many translations. Yeah, The Power of Now, very famous. All right, everyone. So thank you so much for coming and asking me a bunch of questions. Your questions are always so good. I hope I helped you out in some way. And that wasn't too long. So yeah, I'm gonna go edit this and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, have a nice night. Bye.